Thank you. I'd like to thank Nancy and Carson and the Escapery and of course Justin for having us here. And this is a piece I've been working on for a little while. No one has heard it out loud yet, so lucky you guys. And okay, here we go.
Wait, hold me, sorry.
So get the words, get them to musician.
Okay. I should go there.
Sorry.
Okay. I wish I could say my first supernatural experience had been during the light of a blue moon, or the witching hour on Halloween, or another one of those hip celestial transitions in the dead of the night. Instead, it happened at 7 a.m. on a Tuesday in my favorite San Francisco park when I was combination dog walking and angry walking before work. The park in question, Dorothy W. Erskine Park, is this wonderful little bald patch of rock and eucalyptus high up on the ridge between Glen Park and Sunnyside, where I can let my dog off the leash, look out at the city, and let the park blow away my problems. Dorothy Erskine has this great panoramic view of Excelsior and Bernal Heights, where they spill a tide of houses out onto the Bayview and Hunters Point, and everything seems to be trying to swim across the bay to the Oakland Hills in the distance, which were very green at the time. When I would put my hands on the chain link fence at the rim of the ridge there and take a deep breath, I could feel the park underneath me gently talking to everyone who had ever been there worrying and fretting and trying to get through it all. Dorothy patiently and quietly listened to all of my shit and the shit of hundreds of thousands of other people. Dorothy let me offer up each of my thoughts and push them away on the wind to get caught up in the flowing maelstrom that washed into the bay and diluted them into tiny, harmless thought particles to be food for the emotrophs that lived in the water. That particular day had featured a discussion with my wife upon waking, a discussion that subsequently required an angry walk and a stop with Dorothy to cool off. It's not like there had been a fight or anything. My wife and I didn't fight. There had just been a lively exchange of ideas about our different perspectives on certain issues, and how, when presented with the same evidence, she might come up with one conclusion and I another. As I got up to the park, Rufus, my Australian Shepherd, started straining, so I let him off the leash, and, well, let's just say my dog likes his privacy more than I do, and he has 2 more legs, so it can be hard to both keep him in sight and not slip on the eucalyptus leaves and hurt myself. And I'd like to be clear that I'm a dog owner who's very serious about pet waste, but I can only do so much. By the time I get to the top of the hill, he's in a different part of the park after hiding his poo like a nasty Easter egg. I feel guilty every time this happens, but the park was covered in dry dog poo that nobody was trying to pick up. That day, Dorothy and I prepared quite a few things to be thrown into the wind as the warmth slowly moved from my hands into the metal of that fence. We threw the blame for my wife's questionably self-centered focus on money that kept her staring at a screen until the wee hours. The blame for my possibly immature pursuit of the arts that left me unable to single-handedly afford rent in San Francisco. The blame for the ways we both simply expected the other person to put up with unaddressed flaws. The blame for the reasons we shouldn't have been together in the first place. I filled a big bucket of blame to kick down the steep ridge so the city could devour it. And this time the bucket was really full and it wouldn't move. I heaved against it, expecting Dorothy to lend a hand, but it was too heavy or she wasn't helping. Taking a deep breath through my nose and preparing to heave it again, I heard pebbles tumbling behind me, and I turned to see if my dog was depositing something I could find. And there was this little greenish-yellow face peering out from a high space between the rocks and the leaves, watching Rufus as he snuffled and decided a particular patch of vegetation was worthy of one of his many, many dribbles. As the face watched him jog from spot to spot, I could see the pebbles tumbling free in tiny avalanches from what looked like robes wrinkling and unwrinkling. It was as if the ground wasn't the ground at all, but fabric pulled up and wrapped around a tiny form like a cloak. The face was colored like an unripe banana, with a wicked web of whitish fibers crawling up the side. The eyes were eager and the cheeks a little baby fat, about the age of animated little girls selling you cookies in front of the supermarket. And then she spoke with this youthful voice, but reinforced and confident, not like a young person's. "Your dog pooped on the rocks," she pointed. Her hand was the same unripe color as her banana face. "Over there." When she spoke, the whitish growth kind of rippled and seemed to grip her cheek tighter. "Oh, right." I started pulling a plastic bag from the roll that I kept on the leash. "No, no, no," she said, expressing annoyance as if I had broken the rules of her tea party. "That will seal it up. No one will ever get to use it. Use this instead." She pulled what looked like a tangle of bright green weeds from beneath her rocky robe and snapped it open to show it was a little bag. Are you a, Shh, she said. Dog poop first, then questions. I took the tangle bag from her tiny hand and searched the ground for my dog's leavings. Stop! Right there. There it was, a brown curl against the leaves. Using the weeds bag as a glove and just accepting I would have to wash my hands later, I grabbed the little curl and started to pull the rest of the bag over it. Wait, she said. I stopped. Also that one. She pointed to a larger, more dried pile from a presumably larger and more absent dog. I scooped that one up too. I hope this is all. No more will fit, I said, unable to hide a little disappointment around my first supernatural experience. It was like meeting Obama, but under circumstances that dictated discussing nasal congestion and nothing else. Then wrap it up and throw it away. Okay. I wrapped the bag around and held a corner of it as I walked to the trash can. No, she said, clearly exasperated with me. What now? Put it in the grass. She pointed to a copse of weeds that Rufus had recently marked. I guess it made sense that a rock-dwelling park fairy wouldn't want to use a trash can, so I tossed the bag on the weeds. It bounced once and disappeared. I stared after it for a few seconds. Where did it go? It's in the weeds, she said, smiling mischievously. I know, but where is it? I don't see it. Do you want it back? You can't get your poop back. No one can. It's in the weeds. She giggled a little bit. Oh, okay. I thought I sounded dumb. Here was an opportunity to ask questions I never thought would have answers. I tried to think of something profound, but do you know what the meaning of life is? Was all that came stuttering out. I expected her to laugh or roll her eyes, but she just shrugged. To learn how to be nice to everyone. Oh, that's it? I had to admit I hoped it was something a little more involved. She giggled again. I forgot how much humans love answers. Being nice is really hard, you know. Most folks don't do it, and no one is nice to everyone. Well, some folks are nice to everyone, but not for the right reasons. They're not nice in their hearts, so it doesn't count. When she said the word hearts, the whitish tendrils dug deeper into her skin, and I saw a ruby trickle of blood, which she wiped away with the back of a grimy hand, leaving a red smear on the unripe banana skin. That's why you're here, right? She asked me. So you can be nice to more people? I'm here to walk my dog and to breathe a little by the fence. Then she stood and walked, which was an amazing thing to behold. The earth reached up around her, not like a cloak anymore, but like a thick blanket held tight against the cold. Her head was now fully exposed, showing off a short, soft-looking fuzz where hair might grow. I could also see her collarbone, where the whitish fibers pulled open the banana skin in purplish scars and crusty brown excretions. She looked down to where I imagined the bucket of blame sat, big and heavy in my mind and soul. As she passed close, I caught her lively scent. It was peaty and loamy and spicy in my nostrils. The little face atop the dental folds of rock turned towards me. You come here every day, sometimes filling a thimble, sometimes a bowl, today a bucket. I thought you needed to get that stuff out of you, like Rufus needs to get poo out of him. Does Rufus act nice when he has to poo? No, he bugs the hell out of me until I let him out. Yes, being here is kind of like being Rufus if he didn't have you, all full. I looked at the whitish fibers on her face. Full of what? Buckets, like this one, vats, lakes, all full of meanness that people push out. She was holding another one of the tangle bags and looking down at another dried clump, her little face not sad but despondent. Hold that open, I said, and picked up the dried clump with my bare hand and set it in the bag. She smiled and showed me tiny little ivory teeth. I didn't have to look far for another clump, or another, until we filled the bag and threw it into the weeds where it disappeared like the first one. More? I asked, holding my soiled hands away from my body. She took another little bag. We worked like that for 20 minutes or so, listening to the dull roar of nearby traffic, feeling the park pulsing and beating while it pumped the city's thoughts through itself. Can I ask what you are? I asked as I found a particularly moldy specimen. You don't know what I am, so I can't tell you, but you do deserve some answers, she said, screwing up her face in thought. The whitish fibers didn't look so strong now. They didn't look like they could draw blood anymore. How about, I've been here a long time, and I'll be here a while? Are those good answers? They sound more like questions to me. Oh, sorry. They're more like the questions you ask the city, answers shaped like questions. This was starting to feel like talking to a very strange child. but I didn't ask the city any questions in any shape. Yes, I did. I just stood there and tried to get rid of my problems. I didn't say anything at all. Problems and questions are the same thing. Thinking and being part of the city is also the same thing. And you have many problems and many thoughts. How do you know about all that? You told me when you just told the city. How do you know what the city knows? She rolled her eyes at my apparently overwhelming ignorance. Everything is the same. Problems are questions. Thinking is living. The city is made of you and your dog and your friends and their dogs and me and my friends and our dogs. So if you share with the city, then I can remember it. And I'm trying to remind you that you can remember what I share. Can you remember that? Yes? Seemed like the best answer. I just didn't want her to stop talking. I noticed one of the whitish fibers was peeling off like it was dead. So you know what I come up here to think about? Of course I do. Me and you in the park have been working on this for months. Oh, so then what am I supposed to do? She was quiet for a moment. You leave her? What? Why? I mean, I can't. You just told me and the city and Dorothy why, and that you can, for the millionth, billionth time. What did I tell you? She smiled again. That every day you take time out of your life to come to the park mean and leave the park nice. You're telling us that your life outside of the park makes you mean. Outside the park, you're no better than Rufus. Find a life where you can cast your shit into the bay instead of stacking it up out here where you can't always find it or move it. She looked down at the bucket. It's not really that simple, I started as she crossed back to her original perch. You see, it's because we've been together a long time, and she's supporting me while I'm at SF State and working on having kids, and it would crush her to lose me. Are you afraid of getting your hands dirty? I looked down at my hands, which were unspeakably soiled. But I just can't throw away all those years. I stopped because she was already gone. 1 minute she was there, a cloak of rubble around her face. The next moment, just the cloak. And the next, I couldn't figure out what about the rocks that made me believe there was anything there at all. They didn't contain the little form anymore, they were just rocks. The bucket winked at me from the ground. I took one step, then another, then started running straight at it. As I got close, I felt Dorothy behind me, so I leaned down, grabbed the handle with my dirty hand, and flung it hard. The bucket soared into the air, trailing all the shit I had filled it with. It got smaller and smaller as it passed over Bernal Heights, over Hunter's Point, and disappeared into the bay. Rufus looked like he was about done, so I leashed him and left the park, heading home to remember what I already knew and to wash my hands.